Madness is like love, it makes you see the world a different way. Maybe love just helps you say the things that madness can't convey. Tell me how to care, the more and more I'm giving up. Afraid of God and life and death, I'm not afraid anymore. There's a hole in the fabric of my sanity, and it's getting big enough to see through. And on the